Breathe in, breathe out. Another second gone. Another second spent, not just spent, traded. In this world, time wasn't money. Time was life, literally. We were born with a clock etched onto our forearms. Days ticked by, counting down from an average of 70 years. 70 years to barter, to sell, to desperately cling to. Every purchase, every meal, every breath cost us precious seconds. The wealthy gorged on borrowed time, their clocks glowing with stolen years. The poor, like me, watched our lives dwindle away second by agonizing second, just another day in the great chronometer of existence. Sunrise painted the towering skyscrapers with hues of desperation, each building a monolith to our collective mortality. I joined the throngs of people, our footsteps echoing a morbid rhythm on the concrete. The Kronos Corporation ruled this world. They had discovered a way to transfer lifespan to bottle time itself, and like the cruel gods they fancied themselves to be, they dispensed it in carefully measured doses. Every day was a countdown. A countdown to poverty, to oblivion, to the moment our clocks struck zero, and we simply ceased to be. The air hung thick and heavy, a miasma of sweat and despair. I was haggling with a street vendor, my stomach gnawing at my insides. A loaf of bread cost me an hour. An hour I couldn't spare. "Looking to cheat the clock, son?" a raspy voice whispered in my ear. I spun around, my heart pounding. A hunched figure stood before me, shrouded in shadow. His eyes, though, pierced through the gloom. Ancient and knowing, they held a glint of something unworldly. He held out his hand, a gleaming silver coin resting in his palm. "What's this?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The room was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls as if they were alive. My heart pounded in my chest, each beat echoing in the silence. I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on me, a mix of fear and curiosity swirling in my mind. "A chance!" the man rasped, his voice like the rustling of dry leaves. His eyes, though clouded with age, held a spark of something ancient and powerful. He leaned closer, the smell of old books and forgotten memories clinging to him. A chance to turn back the hands of time. He explained the coin, holding it up to the faint light. It glinted, casting tiny reflections that seemed to dance with a life of their own. The coin was unlike anything I had ever seen, its surface covered in intricate designs that seemed to shift and change as I looked at them. One day I carry it. One day, and my clock would rewind, decades added to my lifespan. The thought was both exhilarating and terrifying. What would I do with all that time? Would I make the same mistakes, or would I find a way to live a better life? One day, and my clock would rewind, decades added to my lifespan. The possibilities seemed endless, yet the weight of the decision was almost too much to bear. Could I really change my fate, or was this just an illusion, a cruel trick played by the universe? The coin felt strangely warm in my hand, its surface smooth and cold. It was as if it held a life of its own, a silent promise of something extraordinary. I could feel its energy coursing through me, a tingling sensation that made my skin prickle. Its surface smooth and cold, yet it pulsed with a warmth that was almost comforting. The intricate design of serpents and hourglasses was etched into its surface, each line and curve telling a story of time and destiny. An intricate design of serpents and hourglasses was etched into its surface. The serpents seemed to move, their eyes glinting with a hidden knowledge. The hourglasses, on the other hand, seemed to hold the sands of time itself, each grain a moment lost or gained. It pulsed with an energy I could feel in my bones, a deep, resonant hum that seemed to sync with my heartbeat. It was as if the coin was alive, a living entity that held the secrets of the universe within its tiny frame. Hope, a dangerous and seductive serpent, coiled itself around my heart. Could this be real? Could this coin be the answer to my prayers? The thought was intoxicating, a heady mix of hope and fear that left me breathless. Could this coin be the answer to my prayers? Or was it a one-way ticket to a fate far worse than death? The old man's words echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the price that might come with such a gift. Or was it a one-way ticket to a fate far worse than death? The path ahead was shrouded in darkness, a crossroads where every choice seemed fraught with peril. I stood there, the coin heavy in my hand, and wondered if I had the courage to face whatever lay ahead. Section 5. A gamble on tomorrow. The day wore on, each tick of the clock a hammer blow to my resolve. Time seemed to stretch and contract, playing tricks on my mind. Every second felt like an eternity. Yet the hours slipped away unnoticed. The weight of my decision pressed down on me, a constant, unyielding pressure. The coin felt heavy in my pocket, a constant reminder of the choice I had to make. It was no ordinary coin. It was imbued with a strange, almost mystical energy. I could feel its power pulsing through the fabric of my clothes, a silent whisper urging me to make a decision. The metal was cool against my skin, yet it burned with the weight of its significance. Could I trust this stranger? His eyes were shrouded in mystery, his intentions unclear. He appeared out of nowhere, offering a solution to my dire predicament. But what did he stand to gain? His words were smooth, almost too smooth, like a practiced con artist. My instincts screamed caution, yet desperation clouded my judgment. Could I trust this magic? Doubt gnawed at me. Magic was a fickle thing, unpredictable and often dangerous. Stories of its misuse and the havoc it wreaked were legendary, yet here I was, contemplating its use as my last resort. The promise of a miracle was tempting, but at what cost? The line between salvation and damnation was perilously thin. What was the price of this miracle? Every gift comes with a price, and this one was no different. The stranger's offer seemed too good to be true, and experience taught me that such offers often came with hidden strings attached. The fear of the unknown loomed large, casting a shadow over my thoughts. What would I have to sacrifice? My freedom, my soul? What would this coin cost me in the grand scheme of things? The coin was a symbol, a token of fate. It represented a choice that could alter the course of my life forever. The stakes were high, and the consequences of my decision were unfathomable. The weight of the world seemed to rest on this small, seemingly insignificant object. The hours ticked by, each one pushing me closer to the precipice of decision. The world outside continued its relentless march forward, indifferent to my plight. The sun rose and set, casting long shadows that mirrored the darkness within me. Time was running out, and I could feel the sand slipping through the hourglass. As the sun began its final descent, casting long shadows across the city, I knew I had to choose. The twilight hour brought with it a sense of urgency, a reminder that my time was limited. The cityscape, bathed in the golden hues of sunset, seemed to hold its breath, waiting for my decision. The moment of truth was upon me. Trust the man, trust the coin, and gamble with the unknown. The coin flipped in the air, a blur of motion that held my fate. Heads or tails, life or death, salvation or ruin. The outcome was uncertain, but the choice was mine to make. The gamble was a leap of faith, a step into the abyss with no guarantee of safety. Or resign myself to the slow, agonizing death that awaited me. The alternative was bleak, a slow descent into despair and hopelessness. The thought of giving up, of surrendering to my fate, was almost unbearable. Yet the fear of the unknown was equally paralyzing. In the end, it came down to a simple question. Was I willing to take the risk? I found the man in the same shadowy alleyway. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant hum of the city. Shadows danced on the walls, creating an unsettling atmosphere that made my skin crawl. The same enigmatic smile played on his lips as he saw the coin in my hand. His eyes glinted with a knowing look, as if he had been expecting me all along. The coin felt heavy in my palm, its weight a reminder of the gravity of the situation. He held out a worn leather pouch. The leather was cracked and aged, telling tales of countless transactions and secrets held within. It seemed almost alive, pulsating with an energy that made me hesitant to touch it. "Place it inside," he instructed, his voice a low hum. There was a hypnotic quality to his words, compelling me to obey despite the growing sense of dread in my chest. His eyes never left mine, locking me in a trance-like state. As soon as the coin left my hand, a searing pain shot through me. It was as if my very essence was being ripped apart. The pain was unbearable, radiating from my chest and spreading through my entire body. I cried out, clutching at my chest, my vision blurred. The world around me began to spin, and I could feel my strength draining away. It was as if the very life was being sucked out of me, leaving me weak and helpless. The world around me dissolved into a swirling vortex of darkness. Colors and shapes twisted and contorted, merging into a chaotic whirlpool that threatened to consume me. I felt myself being pulled into the abyss, powerless to resist. Through the haze, I saw the man's smile widen, a predatory gleam in his eyes. He seemed to feed off my suffering, his expression one of twisted satisfaction. It was clear that he had orchestrated this entire encounter for his own gain. He had taken something from me, something intangible yet profoundly important. I could feel the void left behind, an emptiness that gnawed at my very being, something more than just the coin. It was as if a part of my very essence had been stolen, leaving me incomplete and hollow. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks, and I struggled to comprehend the full extent of my loss. He had taken a piece of my soul. The weight of this truth settled heavily on my shoulders, and I knew that I would never be the same again. The price of time was far greater than I had ever imagined. I awoke with a gasp, my body drenched in a cold sweat. The clock on my arm glowed brightly, but the countdown had reversed. Years, decades had been added to my lifespan. The coin had worked. But at what cost? The question echoed through the cavernous halls of my mind. I felt hollow, empty, as if a vital part of me was missing, replaced by something cold and alien. The world seemed different, distorted. Colours appeared more vibrant, sounds sharper, but it was all wrong, like looking at a reflection in a broken mirror, a grotesque parody of reality. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. My life had been extended, but it no longer felt like my own. The world around me pulsed with a hidden energy, a symphony of whispers I couldn't decipher. I saw the man everywhere, or rather, I saw people who looked like him. Faces in the crowd, fleeting glimpses in dark alleys, all bearing the same knowing smile, the same predatory gleam in their eyes. They were collectors, I realized. Collectors of time, of souls, of something far more precious than I could comprehend. And I, in my desperation, had made a deal with one of them. I live now with the consequences of my choice. A choice made in desperation in the face of oblivion. The coin had given me time, but it had taken something far more valuable in return. The world ticks on, a grand clockwork mechanism of life and death. But I am forever on the outside, looking in, forever trapped in this twisted game of time, a pawn in a game I don't understand. And as I watch the seconds tick by, I am left with a chilling question. What will become of me when my borrowed time finally runs out?